What is your "this person has no idea how the real world works" moment?
At a national park, the park ranger says, "Stay on the trails. There are bears in the area." One lady says, "Isn't that dangerous? Why aren't they in their cages? Mom, we're not a zoo."
When my girlfriend said to me that she was going to easily work 3 jobs at the same time. Edit. We were in high school at the time.
The other day, my 18-year-old brother-in-law got married to his high school sweetheart in a parking garage so that they can live off campus at college together. Girlfriend's now wife, mother is an ordained minister. His parents, my in-laws, were very upset and he couldn't understand why because it's just a fake marriage for school. "Oh no, sweet boy. You are married." I just laughed and laughed. I love him dearly. He is a dumbass.
I lived with some Japanese exchange students during the final summer of college. They were really nice girls, but one of them, Mari, approximately 19 years old, obviously had no idea how anything worked. She spoke the best English and I was tutoring some of the other girls, while they helped me with my Japanese. But Mari would constantly call me to come to get her because she thought we had free buses, all the buses. After all, we were students. That wasn't the issue. I could deal with that. It was a whole new culture. She was learning. But what happened that made me realize Mari could not be left on her own was when she ended up in Eloy, Arizona, which was approximately 400 miles and 5 hours from where we were. She had been talking to some guy on campus. He said he was visiting family in Arizona, and she said, "I want to go." He just took her with him, and she went without even telling us. She had just assumed the guy would take her back, but he said he couldn't because he was staying in Arizona. So I had to arrange a ticket, get her on the bus via the phone, and then pick her up 2 hours away because she missed her second bus by napping.
2 things immediately come to mind. First, being a young girl I used to work with at Target. She was hired for the 6 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. shift, but she regularly showed up between 8 to 9 a.m. without any good explanation. After the 3rd time or so, our supervisor asked her if she had something to do in the morning, such as getting kids ready for school, that required a later shift? If so, she could be moved to the 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. shift. The girl's response was, "No, I still want to leave at 2:30. I just don't want to get up that early." She was fired when she refused to acknowledge that you cannot make your own schedule. Second is one of my roommates. A 23-year-old who is quite literally unable to take care of herself in any capacity beyond ordering fast food. I once heard her yell at her mother because she was filling out a job application and got stuck on a section. Her mom was trying to help her finish but she got frustrated and screamed, "Can't you just fill it out? I want to go play my games." Before you ask, no. There are no disabilities. She's just lazy, spoiled and incredibly stupid.
My boss told me about a friend of his, who told him a life hack. She would get her bills in the mail, not pay them, and then wait a couple of months to pay. Then she would cry so the debt collectors would feel bad and waive the fees for not paying on time. That was her brilliant life hack.
I worked for a very sheltered and entitled mother as a nanny. Shortly after I got hired, she called me at 3 a.m. asking me to come in because the baby wouldn't stop crying. When I said no, she responded with, "But you're the nanny." And that was a constant thing. At one point she got sick of breastfeeding and asked if I could start nursing. All of this was very casual too. Like she wasn't really mean about it.
When I was in boot camp, some kid put his letter addressed to Mom, with no address attached.
I have one that's kind of been woken up from this. My dad. He used to be the typical boomer, always thinking I was just being lazy and not doing things right. Until he got injured, and could no longer work in an industry he had 30+ years of experience and seniority in. It took him several months to get a new job of any kind, and was shocked when he realized that he couldn't just negotiate for higher pay. He was fired on the spot when he threatened to organize a strike, and was barred from the premises. When he had to move, it baffled him that he couldn't just give the landlord a few $100 and move in right away, but had to wait a week for his application to go through, and the landlord to do a background check. Probably my most satisfying one was when he finally decided to get into the industry I'm in. Truck driving. He learned very fast that it wasn't like it is in the movies from the 80s. Truckers don't now, nor ever have given a rat's ass about one another. Sure, some are nice to one another, but if it's a choice of you or them, don't hold your breath. Most big trucking companies in the US do not give a beep about you or your family, and they're only concerned about your safety because it saves them money on lawsuits. After his third trucking job ended with him getting terminated, and is now living off my income, he stopped giving me beep about my problems, and is still job hunting.
A student working part-time at my laboratory at a university came into my office and asked, "So what all can I eat in the refrigerator?" I didn't know I was supposed to bring my own lunch. I looked at him, stunned, and replied, "Nothing. That food is what people brought for their own lunch, but you can use my Grubhub to order." He did not understand. It took 4 tries to get him to realize he can't just eat someone else's lunch. Same student. I walked into the lab room and told him I made a full pot of coffee in the office and he could help himself. Him, a pot of coffee? What's that? He never used a coffee maker other than a Keurig before and didn't even know it was a thing. He was fired a month later for stealing chloroform.
A dude, 18 in boot camp got a letter from home and I can see he is agitated. Being 22 and concerned for his well-being, I asked him if he wanted to talk about it. I'm thinking a Dear John letter or the mom and dad divorcing letter. He deadass told me that his younger brother got a Mercedes for his birthday and that he was pissed BC he only got a BMW. Can't remember what I said, but I knew boot camp was gonna knock his dick in the dirt. It did.
Listening to a faulty new car story when it turned out the woman, 42, was driving for 7 months with the handbrake on the whole time.
They did a study and there's a lot of people who have winning the lottery as part of their retirement plan.
A first-year college student of mine thought that assignment deadlines were guidelines. Nothing was handed in on time. She emailed me the night before her final exam to see if I'd take some of her late work. I told her hell no. She threatened to report me. I let her. She failed, got reprimanded, and was eventually expelled due to plagiarism.
When looking for somewhere to rent after university halls, one of my mates was annoyed because he didn't like the lounge in the house his parents bought him outright to live in.
My son was 3 days away from when his credit card bill was due and needed to borrow money, which was fine. He expressed his relief that I gave him the loan, saying, "I was afraid they'd cut off the card and not let me buy groceries this week if I didn't pay the balance." In other words, he's never let the balance roll over, just as I taught him, but he has no clue that he can actually let the balance roll over or pay a portion of the bill, and he'll be charged the rate plus a fee. I think I'm not going to tell him about that part.
It's like free money in response to any kind of financing or borrowing, car financing, student loans, credit cards, home equity line of credit.
My brother is 26 years old and has had one job. He worked there for like 2 months. Our cousin helped him get hired. It was the easiest job in the world. A team of people drilled wells, agriculture, and my brother would come at night and watch the equipment. He had a new RV to sleep in. They let him watch TV, bring his dog, smoke, drink, eat whatever he wanted. The only thing he really had to do was be there. He wanted to go to dinner with his girlfriend and asked for the day off. His boss told him no because he was the only person they had to stay there at night. He told his boss to beep off and quit on the spot. To this day, he doesn't work, pay bills, or do anything with his life. He smokes weed and plays old video games, like random racing games on PS2. Sad waste of a life emo.
My mum was spontaneously in the city I live in and asked me to meet her for supper. I told her I was on the bus and it would take me 45 minutes to get to her, even though in a car it would be a 15-minute drive. She said, "Just tell the bus driver to bring you here now." She has no concept of how public * transportation works. Yes, thank you all. Public, not pubic.
I worked with a girl in her 20s who had her first ever official paycheck. She was beaming with excitement as she opened the envelope. Smile drops and she says, "Wait, what are these lines?" She had no idea what taxes were. We're taxed to work, to simply live somewhere, to buy things, to sell things, to flush things. Welcome to poverty, young girl in a low-paying career.
One year for Christmas I custom made a board game for my girlfriend where the theme was about her going on as many holidays vacations as possible. The entire thing was full of references to her friends and family with a bunch on in jokes. Several people said I should try to mass produce and sell it. It's like, who the hell do you think's gonna buy a game themed about some random person they've never heard of?
When working at a video game company, We had a summer where we had 3 instances of random people from a nearby art school sneak into the building and cold crash the art director. The first time, we just figured it was some young student oblivious to the multiple levels of security and protections around our IP. He grouped up with a bunch of guys during their smoke break, walked in with them, then just started wandering the halls looking for an office with an art director plaque on it. This kid was let off with one hell of a stern warning. Very detailed emails went out to all employees to keep our eyes out for unfamiliar faces without badges, and to keep our own employee badges visible. The second time it happened, a student from the same campus walked in through the side door with a group, but when they asked about his ID, he lied about having a job interview with the art director. They tell him to stay put in the hall, but follows them anyway. He is ushered into the art director's office, and in the 2 seconds it takes the director to call security, this dope is already going 100 into his, "Boy am I the artist for you," pitch. He is told to never apply for our company, and their name gets shared with all associated dev studios under the publisher's umbrella. Again, emails go out, security is tightened, and side doors are now exit only. The third time it happened, we don't even know the details. The company email didn't specify how yet another random student from this art school managed to locate and sit himself down in waiting in the art director's office while he was at a meeting. But the art director walks into his desk, and is startled beep by an excited, "Hello future employer." What the hell? At this point, police are called. We have had enough of this, and a message needs to be sent. Stop trespassing into our office, you idiots. But as this student is getting questioned and processed, we discover what is happening. It all makes sense. We now know why it is this one particular art school. There was a teacher at that campus that was encouraging students to sneak in and force directors and managers into cold interviews. He explained to them how easy it is to just follow a group of employees in during their smoke break, to just meander the halls aimlessly as long as you look like you belong. He was giving them strategies and techniques to blend in, not raise suspicions, and locate who would be best for an interview. All the while, teaching, they'll be impressed by your initiative. They'll know how much you want the job if you do that. Besides, the worst thing they can do is say, no. Surprise. The worst thing they can do is a misdemeanor trespassing charge and hefty citation, as well as blacklist you permanently in the industry as a security liability. It's so unfortunate that these students were the ones who were punished. They're just impressionable kids putting trust in a dumbass art teacher. We don't know why this teacher thought this was okay or what decade they think they're living in, but it's unnerving to think that kids are paying so much money to receive beep advice from some delusional lunatic with no idea how the real world works. Their teacher should have been severely reprimanded for doing this to his students, but after intercepting another prospective infiltrator in the front walk before getting anywhere, it was pretty clear this teacher was still employed. Edit. Apparently people are misunderstanding the implication of "police are called." In their defense, so did I when I first heard our company actually called the police. I too expressed concern that we were being too extreme. Fortunately, wasn't as bad as I envisioned. This wasn't an urgent response where they kick in the door guns drawn, handcuff the kid, and cart him off to prison. This was to make a formal police report and get it in the records we had an increase in trespassers at our location. Something about company insurance or whatnot. Probably had a little chat with the kid out front, wrote him a citation for trespassing, and escorted him away from the premises. If the details still seem wonky, this was based on the account of my own boss explaining why we had police out front that morning.
When my roommate, who never once paid for rent or groceries or anything, turned down the only job offer they have ever gotten, in front of me, twice. They were so desperate they called him twice, offering good pay, during COVID, and he had the gall to say no in front of me. His excuse was, "Nah, I'm sure there's something better. $20 an hour is garbage in this city, _
I got into an argument with my brother over universal healthcare. I realized it was pointless about halfway in because he didn't know what a premium was or what actuaries do. He actually thought everyone got charged the same amount for insurance.
Old roommate was only paying $25 on her credit cards every month, but was putting almost every purchase on them. I felt so bad explaining to her that she was now in credit card debt.
I had a 25-year-old ask me how to peel a banana a few years ago.
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more quality content every day.